if you're looking for a budget smartphone right now, then you've probably heard about the Neon Ray Smarta and the Neon Ray Ultra that were recently launched by Safaricom. And if you're probably wondering whether they are good enough or even whether you should buy it or not, then let me explain using these 7 features. I do a lot of tech reviews on this channel, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe. Otherwise, let us start with this design of the Neon Ray Smart. It has a plastic back that actually rejects fingerprints very well. It has a 5 megapixel camera on top. The bottom one is a flash. It has a removable 3000 milliamperes battery, but we'll get to that in a sec. And on the front, there is a 2 megapixel camera on top. There are thick bezels, especially on the top and at the bottom. There are touch navigation controls below. And at the top, there is a headphone jack. At the side, there are volume buttons and a power button. And below, there is a single speaker and a USB Type-C. I believe for the first time in these Neon smartphones, which is actually very impressive. Then we have the storage, which is 32 gigs of internal memory. But it also has 2 gigs of RAM, which is important because now this phone can actually multitask up to a maximum of 9 apps that are open that I can switch between. But also for extra storage, you can add a micro SD card. As for the internals, the Neon Smarta is using the Go Edition version of Android 13. But despite that, it can install and run much heavier apps. I mean, I'm using YouTube, Microsoft 365, and I'm running some averagely performance intensive games all at the same time. Even though it struggles a little, but the fact that it can run them at all is impressive on its own. And then there is the display. So this is a 5.0 screen display, so it still feels small in the hand, especially if you're coming from a bigger phone. But I noticed that the viewing angle is a little off, especially if you're viewing in landscape mode. And I don't mean when you're viewing from the sides, I mean when I'm staring directly at it. So I would encourage using it in portrait mode most of the time. And also, this phone has a 60 Hz refresh rate. I mean, for a phone of this price, that is impressive. It claims to go up to 120 Hz in the settings for some reason, but I always maxed out at 63 Hz with this phone. The brightness is also good at this point. We do not have the specs, the exact specifications for the brightness, but I was using it side by side with a 500 nits smartphone and they were almost equally matched. And then we have the battery life. So here's what you need to know. This is a 3000 milliamperes battery. I was using it at max brightness with Wi-Fi on and some very performance intensive tasks running just to test. But I could average 5 hours and 48 minutes of screen on time. But something impressive to note also is that it has a USB Type-C, which I believe is for the first time in these Neon smartphones. But once you drain it, you can charge it from 0 to 100 at 3 hours and 16 minutes, averagely. And as for the cameras, they are two. This is a 5 megapixel camera at the back, and this is a 2 megapixel camera in front. I'll share images so that you can kind of get a picture of the image quality, but it's just to be expected. It's a Neon phone. It's a Neon phone. And I also found that it has a QR code scanner built into the camera app, which is impressive because now you can scan a QR code from the camera app, and it also allows you to scan from images you already have in your gallery, which is nice. Then we have the network configurations, and I feel like you already know this, but this smartphone is a single SIM and it is network locked to Safaricom SIM cards only. You cannot use Airtel and Telecom. So I'll leave links in the description below to the previous Neon Rays that I've reviewed, like the Neon Ray 2 and the Neon Ray Pro. But subscribe to watch me compare this phone, the Neon Ray Smarta, to those phones. I'm curious to know which smartphone would you like me to review next. Let me know in the comment below. But as for now, I'm Kaingu. Thanks for watching.